In the darkness of 75 million years ago, something watches. The Jadukta Desert, Mongolia, before the first light of dawn breaks over the ancient world. As the sun's first photons reach the desert floor, the true colors of this creature are revealed for the first time. This is the real Velociraptor, not the monster of cinema, the magnificent truth. 18 inches at the hip, 35 pounds, the size of a large turkey, and utterly lethal. Each feather, a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. Every barbule precisely interlocked, iridescence created not by pigment but by light itself. The sickle claw, 3.5 inches of curved keratin, evolution's most precisely engineered killing tool. 75 million years in the shadow. Tonight, the ghost speaks. For 30 years, cinema told us what Velociraptor looked like. Cinema was wrong. The real animal stood no taller than a modern turkey. Size, it seems, was never the point. In 2007, a single fossil bone changed everything. Quill knobs. Proof, irrefutable, that feathers were real. The sickle claw did not slash. It pinned, a precision instrument, not a blade, but the vice. The cognitive capacity of this animal rivals the modern crow, one of the most intelligent creatures alive today. The coordinated pack hunt, perhaps the most enduring myth. The fossil record tells a different story. The famous roar never happened. What we hear now, reconstructed from living relatives, is the real voice of the Cretaceous. While the cold-blooded world waited for the sun, Velociraptor was already moving, warm, active, unstoppable. 1971, the Gobi Desert, two animals locked in combat, buried alive by a collapsing sand dune, the hunt preserved forever. 35 pounds. Fully feathered, completely real. The size was never the point, the perfection was always the point. The skull, 10 inches of aerodynamic precision, every gram reduced by evolution over millions of years. Each tooth curves inward, backward, prey that pulls away from the bite, drives the teeth deeper. There is no escape, forward-facing eyes. Binocular vision, depth perception equal to a modern hawk. The prey, already selected. The tail, ossified, rigid as a steel rod. A counterbalance that turned this animal into a living, guided missile. 0 to 25 miles per hour in under 1 second. The most efficient predatory acceleration in the Cretaceous world. 3 paths, 3 assessments, 1 decision. The cognitive complexity here rivals animals we consider highly intelligent today. At 5 degrees above freezing, the lizard cannot move. Velociraptor hunts. This single difference shaped the Cretaceous world. The hunt begins not with movement, but with perfect, absolute stillness. 47 feet, the juvenile at the herd's edge. The assessment takes less than 2 seconds. The shadow conceals everything. Only the eyes remain, watching, calculating. The prey looks directly at its predator and sees nothing. The camouflage is complete. 0.8 seconds from stillness to contact. The fastest predator strike in the Cretaceous record. The claw does not cut, it holds. The inward curve makes release mechanically impossible. This exact moment, preserved in stone since 1971, the same hunt, separated by 75 million years. The hunt is over now, the vigil. In this ancient desert, possession must be defended. The film gave us a legend. Science gives us something far more extraordinary, the truth. The creature in Jurassic Park was not Velociraptor, it was Deinonychus, 3 times larger. The name was simply borrowed. And for those who wanted the giant Utahraptor, 6 feet, 1,000 pounds, it was real. It existed. It was worse. Did they hunt in packs? The honest answer, we do not know. And science is comfortable saying so. The crow builds tools. The raptor navigates complex terrain, 75 million years apart. The same cognitive architecture. Tyrannosaurus owned the ground beneath its feet. Velociraptor owned everything else. Different answers to the same question. 3 animals, 3 worlds, 3 answers to the question of what it meant to be a predator at the top of the Mesozoic world. 3 predators, 1 question. Which animal defined the Mesozoic? The debate begins now. Jurassic Park made a generation love dinosaurs. Science made those dinosaurs real. Both matter enormously. The debate belongs to us. The animal belongs only to its own ancient world. The wings are real. The feathers are confirmed. But Velociraptor never flew. So why the wings? 4 theories. A century of debate. And the feathers still keeping their secrets. Theory 1. Display. The iridescent wings as a language, spoken in light, understood across species. Theory 2. Temperature. The feathers as a thermostat, compressing in cold, spreading in heat, the body always optimal. Theory 3. Balance. At speed, the wing feathers extend, the turn tightens, the physics are precise. Theory 4. Climbing, wing-assisted incline running, a behavior we can observe in modern birds today. The evidence compelling. Perhaps it was all 4 simultaneously. Evolution rarely wastes a good structure on a single purpose. 2007, a single bone. And the question that paleontology had debated for a century answered, and yet some questions remain open, as they should. The mystery is not a failure of science, it is an invitation. The afternoon heat reshapes the world. Even the light bends around this creature, into the shadow, and something remarkable. The darkness does not hide it, it reveals it. And here, the most surprising truth of all, this apex predator, this lethal engineer, is also a devoted parent. In the last light of the Cretaceous day, the creature burns with color, as it always has, as it always will. A world complete, every creature in its place, every relationship precisely calibrated by 75 million years of shared existence. As the external light dies, the internal light awakens. This animal carries its own dawn. In the absolute dark of the Cretaceous night, it moves by its own light. Hunting, always hunting. 66 million years ago, the light went out, not gradually, not mercifully, all at once. All at once. But the bones remember. In the stone, the hunt continues. The light never truly extinguished. The story is not finished. Somewhere in the Gobi Desert, the next discovery waits. This is what science gives us, not a lesser animal, a greater one, stranger, more beautiful, more real. It returns to the shadow, as it always has. The ghost was never gone. It was simply waiting, still there, in the dark, in the stone, in the science, in every fossil that waits to be found. The ghost has spoken. DinoCodex. The science is the story. The king, 66 million years ago, the earth was a very different world. Beneath the ice, something had been sleeping, waiting. For longer than human memory can comprehend. Deep within the ice, a fire begins to stir. Every cell, every muscle, every ancient instinct awakening. The first breath in 66 million years. He is free. Feet of muscle, bone, and memory, 9 tons of living history. He tests the ground beneath him, each step deliberate, each step a declaration. Those eyes have seen a world we can only dream of, and they are calculating still. Wherever he walks, the earth remembers. A trail of light, a trail of legend. He does not walk into the wilderness, he walks into his kingdom. From the highest ground, he surveys everything. Every valley, every tree line, every shadow that moves. But a king is never without challenges. From the darkness of the tree line, another emerges, younger, faster, and dangerously unafraid. The veteran does not retreat, he never has. 2 apex predators, 1 territory, there is only one way this ends. Experiences its own weapon. He has 66 million years of it. Youth brings fury, age brings patience, and patience always wins. The finishing position, learned not in a moment, but in a lifetime of battles. He could end this, he chooses not to. That is the difference between a predator and a king. Even the mightiest must tend to their wounds. Survival demands it. He marks every boundary, every tree, every stone. This land is his. But a king must also eat, and those ancient nostrils miss nothing. 300 feet away, a Triceratops grazes in peace, unaware that the world has changed. Watch how he moves, not with urgency, but with absolute precision. The Triceratops does not flee, it turns to fight, brave, to the very end. This is the ancient contract of the natural world, life, sustaining life. He roars not in cruelty but in gratitude. to a world that made him possible. As the sun fades and the aurora returns, the king rests, for now. But strength alone does not make a legacy. Something far more fragile does. For all his power, all his fury, in this moment he is simply a father. 3 lives, 3 futures, 3 reasons to protect everything. The greatest predator in Earth's history is learning patience from a 2-foot hatchling. But not all creatures respect a father's peace. There are things in this world worth fighting for beyond territory, beyond hunger, beyond dominance. In 66 million years of evolution, love looks exactly like this. He teaches them not with words, but with every movement of his body. The oldest lesson in the natural world: watch, learn, survive. Weeks pass, then months. They grow with extraordinary speed, as if the world cannot wait to meet them. He watches them now, not to guide them, but to witness what he has built. The hardest thing a parent ever does is let them go. Even a Tyrannosaurus Rex knows this. But peace in the prehistoric world is always temporary. He senses it before he sees it. Something older, something larger, something that does not fear him. The Spinosaurus, 50 feet of primordial river predator, the only creature on Earth that might, just might, rival the king. 2 giants of the ancient world face each other across the frozen ground, neither willing to yield an inch. Size versus strength, reach versus bite force, the ultimate test of prehistoric engineering. First blood, the Spinosaurus draws on experience of its own. Those arms are no decoration. The Spinosaurus is larger, but larger does not always mean wiser. He has studied every opponent. He knows where the weakness lies, and he moves there with terrible purpose. The great Spinosaurus falls not because it was weak, but because today it faced something greater. The rain washes away the battle, but the scars remain, each one a chapter in a story that began before mankind existed. After every storm, and the world is new again. He stands as he always has, as he always will, unbroken. An empire measured not in miles, but in every creature that moves aside when he passes. This is not fear, this is the natural order, and he maintains it with absolute authority. They return, as they always do, because no matter how far they roam, he is home. His children's children, the next generation of kings and queens, discovering the world through his eyes, a balanced world, a thriving world, because one creature understood that true power is not destruction, it is order. As the sun sets on another day in the ancient world, the aurora returns as it always does, eternal. What does a creature this ancient see when it looks at its own reflection? Does it remember? Does it wonder? Somewhere beyond his horizon, a world he cannot imagine is beginning, a world that will one day call him legend. But that world is not his, this one is. Every step he ever took is still glowing, a map of a life fully lived. One final look, not of farewell, but of understanding. He has always known exactly who he is. He walks into the dark, and the dark welcomes him, as it always has. Was he ever truly here, or was he always a dream the Earth was having? 66 million years later, in a world he never knew, his bones still draw a crowd. For just a moment, the fossil and the living breathe the same air again. This is how legends survive, not in the ground, but in the eyes of those who dare to imagine. But some scientists are not content with imagination, they want the truth.
Look at the layers. It's from the last glacial maximum.
The clarity is perfect. This will refine our climate models.
Let's log it that name.
And in the oldest ice on Earth, they find something that should not exist. A tooth 9 inches long, perfectly preserved, 66 million years old, found in ice that is 10,000 years young. Science has a word for this anomaly. What science does not have is an explanation. They drill deeper, because that is what humans do, even when, perhaps especially when, they should not. Something is down there, something enormous, something the ice has been keeping very carefully from the world. The radar does not lie. 40 feet long, 12 feet tall, an unmistakable silhouette, buried 100 feet below the modern world. And still they drill, but in his world, 66 million years away, he is already walking, already hunting, already alive. Some things were never meant to end, some kings were never meant to be forgotten. North Africa, wait, wrong world, Montana, 66 million years ago. The ground is moving, something enormous is coming, something that science recently told us never existed, or so we thought. Meet Triceratops horridus, the most famous dinosaur that ever lived, and the one with the most complicated identity in prehistoric history. This is the Hell Creek Formation, not the desert, not the ocean, the most dangerous forest and floodplain that has ever existed on this earth. Home to T-Rex, home to Triceratops, home to the final chapter of the dinosaur age. 66 million years ago, this world was at its peak, the richest, the most diverse, the most alive, and it had no idea what was coming. The first flowers in Earth history were blooming right here, 66 million years ago. Triceratops was alive to see the very first flower that ever opened on this planet. That single fact tells you everything about what kind of world this was. Echoes of Horn, the last king of Hell Creek. Look at this world, every creature at the peak of its evolution, every ecosystem at maximum complexity, the late Cretaceous at its most abundant, and somewhere in that forest, a familiar crimson glow. The Dinosaurus, 40 feet of prehistoric crocodilian, the only other creature in Hell Creek that might challenge a Triceratops. Might, it yields, because it knows who owns the Hell Creek plain. The Edmontosaurus moves in numbers, thousands of them, a river of brown bodies crossing the plain. And here, one Triceratops, standing alone, unafraid. It does not need numbers, it has something better. These are the first flowering plants that ever existed on this earth. Triceratops was here when they bloomed, the most powerful creature on the plain, eating the most delicate thing in the world, that is Hell Creek, everything at its most extreme, existing together. The skull, 8 feet long, the largest skull of any land animal that has ever lived on this earth, heavier than a car, 3 horns, a 4-foot bony neck frill, and a question that science argued about for over 100 years. What was the frill actually for? 3 horns, the brow horns 3 feet each, the nose horn 1.5 feet, made of keratin, the same material as your fingernails, growing at 6 inches per year, and their function. Science is still arguing about that too. The frill, 6 feet of bony biological mystery rising from the back of the skull. It could blaze with amber and crimson. It could communicate what no vocalization could. And for over 100 years, science argued about why. The beak, no front teeth, a parrot-like keratin beak that sheared through conifer branches the way scissors cut paper. Behind the beak, serrated battery teeth. 36 to 40 per row, the most specialized plant-eating jaw ever evolved. The skin, bone studs embedded directly into it, each one individually anchored, osteoderm armor, as effective as modern Kevlar, across the entire body, every inch protected. "9 tons, let that land, 9 tons, the same weight as Tyrannosaurus Rex, but built for a completely different purpose. T-Rex was built for offense, Triceratops was built for something more sophisticated, defense so perfect it became a weapon." Four theories, 100 years of debate, no single final answer. The Frill is the greatest biological mystery in the Cretaceous world, and we are about to go through every theory.
And revealing the thickest sections glowing amber gold.
Now, the moment, the encounter that defined the Hell Creek Formation, the encounter that fossil evidence proves happened again and again, T-Rex versus Triceratops, the two kings of the same world. T-Rex, 40 feet, 9 tons, 12,800 pounds per square inch of bite force, the strongest bite in land predator history, crimson energy, explosive speed, the most powerful offensive weapon the land ever produced. Triceratops answered differently, not with bite force, with armor, with horns 3 feet long, with 9 tons moving at a full charge. The fossil evidence does not lie. T-Rex hip bones found with Triceratops horn puncture marks. Triceratops frill fossils found with T-Rex bite marks. They fought, they both won sometimes, they both lost sometimes. The verdict from the fossil record is clear. It depended on the day, it depended on the terrain, it depended on whether the herd was there. Real fossils, real evidence. The battle was real. These bones carried the proof through 66 million years of silence, and they are still telling the story. But the greatest debate about Triceratops has nothing to do with T-Rex. It is a debate about the creature itself, about whether the most famous dinosaur in history ever really existed. 2010, a paper in PLOS 1 changed everything. Triceratops and Torosaurus were not two separate species. They were one species at completely different life stages. Triceratops was the juvenile and subadult form. Torosaurus was the fully mature adult. The creature you have known your entire life as Triceratops was technically the child version. The debate in the scientific community continues to this day, but the evidence is becoming difficult to argue with. The frill grew throughout the creature's life. The juvenile frill, small, simple, pale. The adult frill, enormous, complex scalloping, deep bioluminescent network, and two large holes in the bone that only appear at full maturity. The same creature, two completely different appearances, separated only by time. Science is not settled on this. Some paleontologists accept the single species theory, others strongly disagree. New fossils are discovered every few years. Each one shifts the argument. This is what science looks like, not certainty, not agreement, honest people disagreeing about evidence and slowly getting closer to the truth. Every fossil is a message from 66 million years ago. Reading it takes years, understanding it takes decades. The conversation never ends because the ground still holds more than we have found. Theory 1. Display. The frill could change color, it could signal dominance, territory, and attraction across distances no vocalization could match. A biological billboard, visible from half a mile. Evidence, strong. The vessel density and color complexity support display as a primary function. Theory 2. Thermoregulation. 12 square feet of surface area, covered in a blood vessel network denser than any other dinosaur structure measured. A biological radiator, solar energy absorbed in the morning, heat radiated in the afternoon. Evidence, moderate to strong. The vessel architecture strongly supports this. Theory 3. Defense. Every T-Rex instinct aimed for the throat every time the frill was in the way. Fossil evidence. T-Rex bite marks on frill bones, not on the neck behind them. The frill worked. Evidence. Strong for incidental defense. Theory 4. Species recognition. Each Triceratops frill pattern was unique, like a fingerprint. In a herd of thousands on the Cretaceous plain, individual recognition may have been essential. Evidence, moderate, possible but not yet proven with certainty. 4 theories, 100 years of research, fossils from multiple continents, and still, the frill keeps its secrets. Perhaps the answer is all 4. Perhaps the frill, like the sail of Spinosaurus, was so useful for so many purposes that evolution kept amplifying it. Science does not have a single answer, and perhaps that is the most honest answer of all.
Hey, come take a look at this.
This bone, 66 million years old, found in the same red-brown soil where the creature once walked. Every fossil like this one is a direct message across deep time. The creature is speaking to us. We are still learning to listen. (2010) Scannella and Horner, PLOS One Journal, the paper that asked, are Torosaurus and Triceratops the same dinosaur? The moment when the most famous name in dinosaur history suddenly became complicated, science changing what we know, one paper at a time. This is what Triceratops becomes, the fully mature form, the creature you call Triceratops, grown to its final size. Whether you call it Triceratops or Torosaurus, it was here, it was real, it was extraordinary. Whether you call it Triceratops or Torosaurus, it lived, it fought T-Rex, it saw the first flowers, it survived millions of years, then came 66 million years ago. The last light, the king and its plane and the dying sun, 66 million years ago. This happened, this was real. The blood vessel network pulsing with each heartbeat, amber against gold against crimson, the most beautiful biological structure in the prehistoric world, still not fully explained, still blazing. The whole world watching, the Triceratops herd resting, the T-Rex at the forest edge, both alive, both here, both at the peak of their evolution, neither knowing that the last morning was almost here. 66 million years ago, a morning in Hell Creek, exactly like this one, the last morning, forever. "2,000 miles from the impact, the shockwave still bends trees, the force of 10 billion atomic bombs, arriving here in Hell Creek, in the home of Triceratops, 66 million years ago. The sky is changing, the ejecta falling, each piece a small fire coming home, the sun dimming, the flowers closing, the world that supported everything beginning to shut down. The Triceratops stood through the shockwave, stood through the fire on the horizon, stood through the darkness as the sky filled with dust and the sun disappeared, still standing as it always had. 3 months after the impact, global darkness, photosynthesis failing worldwide, the base of the food chain collapsing. Still standing, after everything still standing, the last Triceratops. "66 million years ago, the asteroid that ended the age of dinosaurs hit with the force of 10 billion atomic bombs, 75% of all species on Earth gone in less than 100,000 years. The silence lasted and lasted and lasted. But the bones remained, the same red-brown soil, the same iron oxide in the rock, Hell Creek Formation, Montana, USA, present day, the same ground. 1887, John Bell Hatcher, Wyoming, 2 fossil horn cores, a creature with no name yet, the first human to hold a piece of the creature that ruled Hell Creek. 1889, Othniel Charles Marsh, Yale University, the name Triceratops horridus, 3-horned face, rough, the creature had its name, and 135 years later we are still learning what that creature actually was. "2010, the most famous name in dinosaur history suddenly became complicated, science changing what we know, one paper at a time. The story is not finished. Every fossil rewrites what we know. The next discovery could change everything again."
Signal strong, we're getting good penetration.
Drones in position, linking the feed. Power stable, processing data.
This is why it matters. Not the data, not the debates, not the fossil evidence. This, the moment a child looks up and understands that something incredible once walked on this earth, and we get to know about it. One more time, the ground trembles. The amber horn tips appear in the pre-dawn dark. The creature that ruled Hell Creek emerges, one final time, for you. The Codex is open. The age of dinosaurs has returned. This was Triceratops horridus, the largest skull of any land animal that ever lived, the creature that stood against T-Rex and won, the creature whose very identity science is still debating, the creature that saw the first flowers bloom, the last king of Hell Creek.
North Africa, 95 million years ago. The river never sleeps. Something enormous is moving beneath the surface. Coming up, 59 feet of prehistoric power, 7 tons of ancient muscle. The surface breaks. This is Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, the longest predatory dinosaur that ever lived. Echoes of river. The spine rises. This is the Kem River Delta, not the Sahara Desert of today, the most dangerous river system that has ever existed on Earth. Above the river, a canopy so thick that sunlight arrives as golden swords cutting through the ancient dark. The Sarcosuchus, 40 feet, 8 tons, the only creature in this river that Spinosaurus respected. The Onchopristis, 10-foot prehistoric sawfish, the primary prey of Spinosaurus, 50 of them completely unaware of what approaches. On land, Spinosaurus moved differently from every other predator, more horizontal, more deliberate. The land was never its true home. The largest animal alive today stands 13 feet tall. The Spinosaurus hip alone was 16 feet from the ground. The sail, 6 feet above that. The sail, 6 feet of biological mystery that science has argued about for 100 years. The Carcharodontosaurus watched from the tree line and retreated. Even the great land hunters knew whose river this was. Nothing moves in this river without Spinosaurus knowing. Nothing. The skull, 6 feet long, built not for crushing bone like T-Rex, built for gripping fish. 100 conical teeth, not serrated, not designed for meat. Designed for one thing only, the river. Across the snout, hundreds of pressure-sensing pits, neurovascular foramina, a biological sonar system that never switches off. While T-Rex had arms too short to reach its own mouth, Spinosaurus had the most powerful arms of any predatory dinosaur that ever lived, 20 inches, the longest claw of any predatory dinosaur in history. The tail, vertically flattened, paddle-shaped. No other predatory dinosaur had a tail like this. This is a swimmer's tail. Spinosaurus could sink, could dive, could follow its prey into the deep, dark water. Everything changes. The eyes sharpen. The pressure sensors blaze. 7 tons of Spinosaurus becomes perfectly still. The greatest ambush predator in the history of this river. The fish have no idea. Every fish, every movement, every heartbeat in the water, known. 0.4 seconds. That is how long the strike takes. 3 Onchopristis, each one 8 feet long, caught simultaneously. 250 pounds of fish. A single successful hunt. But there is another king, in another world. 68 million years ago. North America, Tyrannosaurus Rex. 2 apex predators. 2 completely different answers to the question of dominance. One built for land, one built for water. The T-Rex jaw, 12,800 pounds per square inch of bite force. The strongest bite in land predator history. On dry land, T-Rex has never been equalled. Spinosaurus answered with something different. Not the strongest jaw, the deepest river, North America, 68 million years ago. North Africa, 95 million years ago. An ocean between them, 27 million years between them. They never met. The greatest battle in prehistoric history never happened. But what if it had? On land, T-Rex dominates. Every footstep a seismic event. Spinosaurus moves toward the water. The moment T-Rex enters the river, everything changes. The most powerful bite force in history means nothing if the prey is always out of reach. Chest deep, T-Rex struggles, and somewhere in the dark water, Spinosaurus circles. The river tells Spinosaurus everything. T-Rex is blind here. Land battle, T-Rex. Water battle, Spinosaurus. Environment decides everything. Team T-Rex or Team Spinosaurus. Comment below. But the debate does not answer the deepest question about Spinosaurus. The sail. First discovered 1912, destroyed in a bombing raid in 1944, rebuilt in 2008, revised in 2020. 100 years, 4 theories, no final answer. Theory 1, thermoregulation. The sail absorbed solar energy and transferred heat to the blood flowing through its vessel network. A biological solar panel, 6 feet tall. Theory 2, display. The sail could change colour, dominance, territory, attraction, all communicated through light, without a single tooth ever being used. Theory 3, fat storage. What if the sail supported not a membrane, but a hump of stored fat, like a bison, like a camel? Energy reserves for the dry season when the fish disappeared. Theory 4, the aquatic rudder. The sail underwater as a biological keel, providing directional stability as Spinosaurus swam. In 2020, a single fossil discovery changed everything. Tail vertebrae so specific that only one interpretation was possible. Spinosaurus had a paddle tail. It truly swam. The 2020 discovery transformed Spinosaurus from a predator with a curious sail into the most specialized aquatic predator in dinosaur history. 4 theories, 100 years of research. The sail still keeps its secrets. Perhaps it was all 4. The day moves toward its close, and in the golden hour light, the world becomes something extraordinary. The blood vessel network pulsing with each heartbeat, red against gold against teal, the most beautiful biological structure in the prehistoric world, still unexplained. The whole world watches, all of them keeping their distance. The last light, the king and its river and the dying sun, 95 million years ago. This happened. This was real. The sail, the last element above the surface, descends. The river closes over it. The night comes. The stars appear. The same stars that exist today, looking down at a river that no longer exists. 59 feet of prehistoric power moving through the ancient dark. Unseen, unmatched, unstoppable. Spinosaurus ruled this river for millions of years. Then, 93 million years ago, a sea level rise flooded its world. The rivers dried. The fish disappeared. The greatest aquatic predator that ever lived vanished. What remained were bones, found in 1912, destroyed in 1944, found again, rebuilt, revised in 2020. The bones that carried the story through 93 million years of silence. The story is not finished. Every fossil rewrites what we know. The next discovery could change everything again. One more time, the surface breaks, the sail rises. For you, the Codex is open. The age of dinosaurs has returned. This was Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, the longest predatory dinosaur that ever lived, the greatest swimmer in dinosaur history, the ruler of the Chem-Chem. The spine has risen, 95 million years in the making. DinoCodex, the river remembers.